Hello, my friends. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about what yoga is and why I'm teaching it. This is the last video of 2024, and it's also my 100th video on YouTube. So for this mile marker, I'm just kind of gonna spill out what yoga really kind of means to me and what kind of inspired me to teach it. Um, And I'll probably do another video like this, maybe at the end of next year. I haven't decided I'll do it every year or not. But since yoga is a science and is constantly shifting, it's even shifting for me in my head. Um, what does it mean? So hopefully, by the end of next year, I'll have a completely different perspective and I'll be like, wow, what even is yoga? So so let's just get into it. I didn't really, in most of my classes, I'll like kind of put an outline together and kind of compartmentalize what I'm going to say. And I did not do that at all for this video. So hopefully it all comes together well. Um, and if it doesn't, then you probably won't see this bit at all because I will have re-recorded it. Um, But first, so what is yoga? Yoga is, in the Yoga Sutras, one of the first verses is yoga is a tool basically to silence the mind, silence all of the mental chatter in the mind. Because the mind is like, it's like a whirlwind. It's always just kind of moving and shifting, and you're always like, what's this? What's that? What happened yesterday? What's going to happen tomorrow? Like, what is all of this stuff? And this is why when a lot of people, including myself, sit down for meditation, we think meditation is actually impossible. Like, no way is this even going to work at all. Like, how could someone possibly silence the mind? And that's what the path of yoga is about. Um, when it comes down to meditation, that's going to take you years to really master and even get a little bit of silence in between your thoughts. Um, I mean, you might get a little bit of silence between your thoughts sometimes, but it's pretty wild when you first start. And then there's certain days that you'll have where it's just like you can't calm it down. It's like taking reins on a wild horse. Um, that wild horse is not going to understand what the reins are. It's not going to respect you. It doesn't understand what you want from it, and it wants to go that way, and it will. So that's what the mind is like. Another term I've used several times on this channel and I really enjoy, monkey mind. You think of a monkey just running around like a monkey does whatever it wants. And that's what the mind is like. So one goal in yoga is to really silence that. It's called nirodha. It is that stillness, that calm. Like think of a river that's whooshing down and then it hits like a silent lake and it's completely still. The water is still the same. The nature of the water is the same, but it's become still in that moment. And then, of course, it can always move about and then go off into another river, another stream, or a more turbulent space. Um, and it's about really kind of knowing how to stay calm even when things are turbulent like that. Um, Not only just the mind, but our experience in life. Um, like the situations we come across, all of these things. And they just be like, okay, I can handle this. I know that I can. Um, so yoga really is about the mental exercise. Um, the postural yoga for me, I s- I started practicing yoga to get more flexible for a dance class I was in. Um, and then over time, I started becoming more mindful and I started exploring the chakras um and just getting more spiritual, like starting to really like that one's it's really hard to explain becoming spiritual before coming back to any sort of religion because but what's awesome about that and what's very interesting about that is I was experiencing that at the same time as so many others. Like I was like, I think I'm spiritual but not religious. And I thought I came up with that. And then I started hearing other people saying that they were spiritual but not religious. And I was like, wait, I thought that was the thing that I came up with. And it's just a thing that was happening. And it's very interesting that at one point in my life, I experienced kind of like some low back pain. I was practicing martial arts and I had hit myself in a weird way. And it was really painful. I was trying to get over it. I was using like a ball thing to like roll around on it. And I thought I was like trying to like crack my low back, which is not a good idea. Um, and I wasn't successful anyways, so that's good. But someone just said, "Oh, try some yoga," and I was like, "Oh, I already kind of do that, but let me do some more." So I did it more consistently, and it just like helped so much with the pain, because of the way that like the modern practice of postural yoga just moves with the body so well because we understand kind of how the muscles work better and how we can cause less pain in the body through gentle movements. And the postural yoga is really kind of a way to help it so that we can sit still in meditation for a longer period of time without experiencing that back pain or like a shoulder pain or a neck pain, things like that, because we're constantly moving around, especially if you're like sitting often, maybe you sit at a desk all day, something like that. A lot of the people when the postural yoga was first invented were basically monks and they were living in caves and they were just sitting all day. So they really needed to move in a way that made it so that their bodies wouldn't ache so badly when they were just sitting. They had to move their muscles around and use them a bit so that they would be able to sit for longer periods of time. There are also like many different kinds of yoga. So there's hatha yoga, which is very interesting. I thought that this was pretty much exclusively what I was teaching. And when I'm studying the scriptures, I'm kind of like, what? What am I teaching now? I don't even know for sure because it's changed so much. Hatha yoga is has been known as like a forceful yoga or as the yoga of the sun and moon. The hatha is sun and moon. So it's more balancing. And modern yoga is just so different than it was in the past. I've heard of ideas like that maybe some things about yoga have been inspired by like aerobics training or by like gymnastics or martial arts. things like that, where we're just kind of moving around to move around, which is great and it's wonderful for the body. Um, but one thing that really gets me passionate is making sure that we don't forget about the mental aspects. Um, like yoga is a great physical practice. Good. Let's keep doing that. If you enjoy it, and if it works for you. And I'll keep teaching it, but it's not the only part. There's so much more to yoga, um, especially when it pertains to the mind. So yeah, that's kind of what I've been trying to teach on this channel. Um, and I hope that I've been doing an okay job at least. When I first felt like I wanted to teach yoga, I didn't really know why. I was really just starting getting into the chakras and like really, really practicing yoga every day. And I was talking to my therapist and I said, oh, maybe I could teach yoga one day. But for some reason, I just didn't believe it. And she was just like, oh, well, why don't you? I was like, well, I guess self-doubt probably. So when I came to that realization, I was like, oh, well, I guess I should just try to go for this, right? So I did, and here I am now. Um, and in my teacher training, I just learned so much. Before, like I mentioned, I when I first started practicing yoga, it was just to gain flexibility, and then I used it kind of as a tool to help me with my low back pain, and then eventually getting in the chakras a little bit. But then in my yoga teacher training is when I first learned of the Yoga Sutras. And that just opened a whole new door for me. I was like, oh wow, there's so much more to this than what we know, than what I know. And then I started reading this book called Roots of Yoga by James Mollison and Mark Singleton. And just in the preface of the book, it was like, well, most yoga teacher trainings just talk about the Yoga Sutras and the Bhagavad Gita, but there's like hundreds of other texts out there that we need to study. And I was like almost overwhelmed. I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna start talking about the Yoga Sutras because they are very exciting for me, and then we'll go from there. So that's what I've been doing on this channel. Well, I think I'm going to wrap it up there with this quick video. I hope this was enjoyable. I hope you learned something. And I hope I didn't leave too many loose ends in this video. If I did, I'll probably tie them up, and edit it in. I hope you enjoy your new year. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you soon. Namaste.